I think in terms of most improved guys, I think the guy that's got to be that guy, and I think certainly on that beat and coming out of that city, it seems to be that people think this guy is, but I think the guy that needs to be the most improved quarterback in this league is Spencer Rattler. If South Carolina is going to get to where he's going, would you guys agree with that or push back on that?
I'd agree with it. I think that, South Carolina had that run at the end of the year there that, I mean, they were beating some really good teams, Tennessee, Clemson, and, handled Tennessee pretty well. And they were at an elite level, but they were at an elite level because Rattler was playing at an elite level. And I truly believe that, South Carolina, this is a little inside story here. So before I chose to go to Vandy, I was actually dead set on going to South Carolina. Now, this was when Will Muschamp was there, different environment, different coaching staff, didn't even have their new facility built up yet. This was back in like 2017. And I remember I had told him, I plan on coming and all this stuff, but didn't really announce anything publicly. And then called him one afternoon in June and told him I was going to Vandy. And I know we've all heard and seen like the jokes and memes of the wrath of Will Muschamp, but I felt it that day through that phone. I can promise you that. And so every year when we play South Carolina, I think of that moment and whatnot. And Muschamp's a great coach and all. But I decided to stay at Vandy. Anyway, that's a little side story there. Jumping back to Rattler, if he can play at that level, I mean, they got the guys now. Beamer's recruiting at a high level. I believe they just got a huge 5-star recruit as well. And so, what he's doing on the recruiting trail, they have all the facilities. When Willie B, a night game at Willie B is as great of an atmosphere. We talked about what are the great atmospheres in the SEC yesterday. That's probably right out there at number 2 behind the swamp in Florida that I've experienced as a player. It's electric. And if we have any people here watching who, travel to visit SEC stadiums and experience games just, for the fun of it, you need to go to a night game at Williams-Brice because it is jumping. It is jumping. And their fans are rabid. And they deserve a good product. And, hopefully they can build on what they did last year. But yeah, Spencer Rattler, we know what he can do. We know what the hype was coming out of high school. We knew what it was at Oklahoma and how that ended with, Caleb Williams and whatnot. But his ceiling, when he plays at that level, South Carolina's pretty damn good. They're pretty damn good, and that's what they need to be moving forward.
To bring that full circle, do you know whose son is committed to play quarterback at Vanderbilt next year?
I do know, and that's the young boy Whit Muschamp is coming in to sign at Vanderbilt. And it's funny because I've heard that when he was on his recruiting trips, Coach Muschamp, Will Muschamp, was with his son just like any other dad with a recruit, and I think that's pretty cool. I never had that interaction with him in the hallway. That may have gotten a little awkward, to be honest, but I'm sure that Whit's going to come in and do really well.
You watched Spencer Rattler play a year. You're on the same field. Now you were on the sideline because you were an offensive player.
Yeah.
But just what did you see in him last year that scared you? What did you say you saw that maybe led to the criticisms? Where do you think that gets better this year?
I think for him, it's always been a question of consistency. I think he's always had flashes. It's just consistency. And that's why they were so good in that Tennessee game, is because he was good the whole game. That's what they were able to beat Clemson, is because he was pretty good the whole game. And, for us, he had a little bit of an up and down game, but when he was on, I really noticed it when he was able to escape the pocket and make plays with his feet or scramble and throw on the run. I believe he had a touchdown. I can literally visualize it in my head, going towards our south end zone, back towards our facility, where he was running on the run and threw it and on the run, and the guy made a great catch, great play, and he's just got this swagger about him. He's always had that. He's had it since high school. I'm sure some people have seen that QB1 documentary or whatever. He's always had a little bit of an edge to himself, and now that his play is, he kind of got a bad rep, if we're being honest, about his personality or his competitiveness. But now he's getting to a point where he's developed enough where his play is backing it up. And that makes it for a really, really dangerous player who's playing well, who has that swagger, who has that edge. So I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see what South Carolina does this year. You're going to have teams who are going to absolutely come for the jugular on them when they play in Knoxville. That game's going to be rowdy because they're going to want the revenge for last year. When they play Clemson again this next year, you're going to have some teams that are playing South Carolina that are seeking some vengeance that really haven't really needed it when they played them in the past. And so I'm interested. It should be fun to watch.
I think one thing to watch there, we'll get off into a quick sidebar. The health of Juice Wells, I haven't Googled that in a day or two, but he was missing sometimes. One intriguing piece that they added was Trey Knox, who's from our area,
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee. I think you were a high school contemporary with him. I don't know if you played him in a game.
I know Trey pretty well. I know Trey pretty well.
Yeah. How much do you think that helps Spencer Rattler this year? Because he was a talented kid in high school. He was at one point a top 100 recruit as a receiver. They made him into a tight end because of the body type. But it's intriguing to me because Carolina has had some tight ends who put up numbers, and he's a guy that we could look up at the end of the year and say that, hey, that kid led the SEC in receiving for tight ends not named Brock Bowers.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Trey is Trey and I have known each other since high school. We played here in the mid-state area, never got to play against each other, sadly. But, when you grow up together and you're getting recruited by the same schools, you talk and whatnot, and you see each other at these recruiting events or camps or whatever it may be. When I saw Trey jumped in the portal from Arkansas, I hit him up immediately and tried to get him to Vandy, to be honest with you. I knew I was leaving. I knew Bresnahan was out of there. And so, I was just asking him, a little bit where his head's at and whatnot. And, to his credit, he was a little bit hush-hush and held his cards close to his chest, which I would too if I was in his position. And, was really intrigued when I saw that he was going to South Carolina. I believe there's a tie. You guys may not know off the top of your head, but there's a tie there with a coach. I don't know if it's the tight ends coach or a coordinator, but he's playing for someone that he played for at Arkansas. And so that was the familiarity there that I think that he chose South Carolina. But yeah, he's an absolute weapon. I mean, the guy's ginormous. The guy looks like an SEC. The guy looks like an NFL first-round pick. I mean, he passes the eye test and then some. But he's really dynamic, man. He's not your classic, stiff tight end who just blocks, but he's also not your, fluid receiving guy. He's a little bit of a mixture of both. And I think, for Rattler to have a weapon like that as a quarterback, it opens up so much options and allows you to play more free. And obviously they got Juice Wells and some other guys who can really go. And so, yeah, I'm interested to see what that looks like. They have a great lineage there at tight end. Hayden Hurst a couple years ago was a first-round pick, still in the league. And, many more. Jared Cook, great tight end at South Carolina. These are all guys they used when Muschamp and his staff was recruiting me to go there. And so, yeah, I'm interested to see if this time next year, we're talking about Trey Knox lighting up some NFL training camp.